Good evening, everyone. I am Kevin Harris, and it is the Benchwarmer podcast. And I got a great show for you today. We're going to be here for about 30 minutes, and I want to welcome everybody who's going to join us either live on YouTube, live on Facebook, or who's going to listen to the audio version. And you can download the audio version on the likes of Podbean, Google Play, Apple, iHeartRadio. So you can definitely check all of that out. But thank you for joining us. Tonight, we are going to be chatting with Marshall Briggs from Coastal Wrestling Federation. And we're going to bring him in right now. I will tell you, I told him before the show started, I'm a big wrestling fan. Being in Florida now, it's kind of nice to find an indie promotion that we can kind of celebrate and hang out with. So, Marshall, welcome to the show.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's going great. And I'm looking forward to getting a chance to chat with you about everything Coastal Wrestling Federation. Right. So I want to get it started and tell me how CWF came to be.
Well, it's actually kind of a cool story. There's a bunch of different promotions around here, of course, in Northwest Florida and Emerald Coast area. But there was one promotion that was really kind of dominating the area. And so they had their own training academy, which I was a part of. A couple of other guys were a part of. But unfortunately, you know, in the world of wrestling, things happen that are out of our control. So some things went down. That promotion actually kind of started to go downwards. And so as a wrestler and as a fan, of course, I decided, I was like, you know what? I think we can do this. I think we can do it better than it's been done. And so that's basically how we started. And we started from the ground up. No funding, zero loans, completely funded, you know, by internally. So I think we're starting the right way, but that we're making some good progress.
Well, that's good. So what are the long-term goals for CWF?
Long-term goals of CWF, that's a great question. So what we want to do is we want to be the top promotion here along the Emerald Coast. We don't really intend to leave Florida, you know, as far as Alabama and Mississippi, because, you know, they have commissions over there and that can be a huge headache. But we want to be the top promotion here in our area. Also, what I want to do is I want the CWF to be a place where we can have wrestlers from all over the Southeast, really all over the country, that they can come here, have a place to perform, get their name out there, and just put on the best product possible. So long term, we want to be number one, which I think anyone in this business, that should be your goal for sure.
No, absolutely. So I was going around your website, looking through your Facebook pages, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And I noticed one thing, and I was going to ask about when you're in an indie promotion and how's the best part of cutting promos and stuff like that and putting all of that stuff together. But then I saw that you have the Spring Scramble, which I'll let you explain it, but I think I got the gist. It's just basically your wrestlers have cut their promos and people are getting to select which ones they like the best. Tell us a little bit about the Spring Scramble.
Yeah, so the Spring Scramble actually is something I literally thought of driving down the highway one day. Of course, with COVID, everything's kind of been shut down. We haven't been able to run any events. Really, no one has, all the way up to the WWE. So what I was thinking, I was like, you know, there's a lot of wrestlers that depend on what we do for income. There's a lot of wrestlers that depend on what we do, you know, to further their careers, chase their dreams, whatever. So I was thinking, I was like, what can I do to provide a platform for guys and girls to continue to put themselves out there, continue to build their brand, and continue to grow? So I was like, you know what? If you want to be a success in this business, you got to be good on the mic. You got to be good on the stick. So I was like, why don't we just do a promo tournament? So what we did, and it's kind of unique, I think, I don't know anyone in our area has done it, is I opened it up not just to CWF guys, but I opened it up to any independent wrestler in the country that wanted to join and get a shot at the Scramble. It was wide open to them. So as a matter of fact, we only had, I believe, 2 CWF guys that entered that promo Scramble. And now we're down to 4. Our final 4 out of 16. So it's been really, really successful. And we've had a lot of views. It's been good exposure, not only for the Coastal Wrestling Federation, but also for the performers that are cutting those promos. So we actually have the semifinals are about to take place probably next week. And then the finals will take place after that. And of course, as we've advertised on our page, the winner of the scramble is actually going to get a shot at the CWF championship at some time in the future. So we're really putting the power into the fans' hands.
That's awesome. And they can visit and they can see all those promos on the on y'all's YouTube page, correct?
Correct. They can see it on our YouTube page. Just search Coastal Wrestling Federation, or on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/official CWF.
And we'll definitely throw all of those links down in the comments underneath this video as soon as we're done. So I am curious, as you look at, you see WWE, you see AEW, you see that stuff on TV. They've done a really good job with their content on behind the scenes a little bit. Take us behind the scenes a little bit with CWF and tell us, when you're putting an event together, what's the timeline, and how do you put those stories together and things like that for events, especially now since you're trying to come back after the whole break from COVID-19?
2 words: controlled chaos. I think that's the best way to describe it, man. So backstage, it's crazy, you know, as a promoter, and obviously the CWF is my baby. We have a good team backstage. I do have a light and sound guy who's my right-hand man. We do have our locker room leader that kind of handles things there also. But as far as the creative process and booking the talent and making sure all that stuff, the venue, insurance, tickets, posters, that's all me. So I'm kind of a one-man show right now. And anything you see, any promotional graphics like the logos for Resurrection, the posters, the pay-per-view, the event names. We don't have pay-per-views yet, maybe one day. But the event names, all the graphic design work, all the booking, all the storyline writing, that's all pretty much on my shoulders right now. So it's actually kind of stressful, but you know what they say, if you love what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life. So it's fun for me.
And it all pays off in the end when you get to see the final product, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So not only that, but you've got Heroes to Heroes.
Yes.
I was trying to do a little bit of reading on that, but I figured why not just go straight to the source and tell us about Heroes to Heroes.
So Heroes to Heroes is a program that we started late last year. We really didn't get a chance to get a good running start on it because of COVID. But Heroes to Heroes is a program that we've dedicated to bringing awareness to veteran suicides. Myself, I'm a Air Force veteran of 16 years. I continue to serve on the reserve side. I did 10 years active. I've lost friends to suicide in the military. I know people that have lost family members, whatever, to suicide. So what we wanted to do is, you know, have that little program at our events where fans can donate if they would like. And then so the proceeds that we get for Heroes to Heroes at any CWF event will get donated to a local charity here that directly supports either veterans, our local military community, or any kind of suicide awareness of that kind. So, you know, it's sad. Last year, the Air Force had the highest suicide rate that they've had, I believe, in the past 5 or 6 years. So it's really sad, and it's something, hopefully, you know, the CWF can do their part and try to bring awareness and save somebody's life.
Awesome. Yeah, I take part in the Out of the Darkness walk every year. For a coworker of mine that committed suicide. So yeah, it's a heavy heart to deal with at those moments, but it's a great cause. And like I said, we'll put the links down at the bottom so people can go to these links and do what they can to help, even if they can't make it to the event.
Awesome.
So now I want to get on a little bit of the side here. So I'm going to get into personalities and things like that with wrestlers. So when they're finding their way, does a really matter, or can a personality just strictly cut through, and then maybe the style comes along later, or does it have to be a mix of a style and a personality?
Well, they really kind of come hand in hand. The best character that you're going to find in wrestling is going to be the person who they really are turned up 20 times. So when we look to book talent, when I'm looking at a card to say, you know, who do I feel would draw well with this person, or who do I feel would put on an entertaining match, I really kind of look at their style and look at their character and what they have to offer. What story does their character tell? But if I do have someone that's young in the business, which maybe we can bring this up later on. We do have a new division we're going to be debuting called the Breakout Division. But when we have the younger guys that are kind of finding their way still and figuring out what they want to do, essentially I'll tell them, look, what's your idea? And then they'll give me a name or an idea. I'm like, okay, so who is he? Like, who's John Smith? And then you tell me. And then we're like, okay, well, how can we improve on that? So usually once you pick your character, then I think your style will kind of find itself. Kind of like if you look at someone like The Undertaker, that gimmick, you're not going to see him doing, the same moves as Ricochet. So, right. I think it's very important. Find your character, establish that, and then your style will just come along with it.
So we did have a comment pop up, and it says, how can Marshall Briggs continue to promote Shady Shaddix, the champ?
Slingshot Shaddix, the CWF champion.
Yes.
Slingshot he's a good guy. Obviously there's some fans that are upset with him and myself at the moment. But at Resurrection too, you never know. Something might happen that'll change your minds. That's why I got to buy a ticket and show up. So for somebody who's just new to CWF, tell us why the fans are a little upset. Well, the fans are a little upset. So at our last event, Mayhem, we had a little bit of a controversial ending with Slingshot and the former champion James. The event before that is where James became the former champion. And so Marshall Briggs, of course, being the owner of the company, being the almighty, the powerful, I have a problem with people that are ungrateful. So James, the first ever CWF champion, he never said thanks. He never thanked me, never showed any gratitude for being the guy that I picked to be the face of my company. Right. And so I had to pick someone that was going to be grateful, and that happened to be Slingshot Shaddix. So, well, there you go. And let's see. Seriously, Marshall, you're doing a great job. Love coming to the shows. That is from Michael James. Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. So let me ask you this, and we'll go into the indie side of things. As an indie wrestler, how do you get your practice in? How do you keep up to speed on endurance and all of that? And I know it's gym stuff, but as far as ring work and things like that, and practicing the cutting of the promos and everything, how does an indie wrestler go about getting all of that done? Well, it's kind of a case of the have and have nots. Some people are fortunate enough to have access to a ring 24/7. Others are not. So you pretty much have to be creative with how you keep training and how you stay in ring shape, so to speak. Of course, with everything going on right now, there's very few places you can have a ring up and train. So when everyone does kind of open up and get back into things, you're going to see a lot of people the day after their first show that are going to be hurting. You're going to see people walking and limping and cringing, because I'll tell you what, that ring is hard. And if you're working every week or, every month at least, then your body kind of gets callous to that. But you take 3 months off, man, there's going to be some people hurting. So as far as CWF guys, we do have a lot of guys that travel and work for other promotions. So they did obviously before the virus, but they would stay trained and so forth in that. We don't have our own training facility yet. We're trying to find a building that we could use as a training facility to have our ring up all the time. So if anyone out there listening has a hookup for real, hit me up so we can probably do business. But promos, of course, you have stuff like the Spring Scramble like we offered, or you have guys that, hey, you're driving down the road. Who else you got to talk to? And I was going to ask that. Is that one of those, hey, you're at the house, you're standing in front of the mirror and you just start practicing and cutting a promo that way and kind of critique yourself? That's what I do. I'm not even really in front of a mirror, honestly. A lot of the times I have a notepad, and I know a lot of wrestlers do this and promoters. I have a notepad I carry with me everywhere, and whenever I get an idea, I jot down that idea and say, okay, I want to do this or I want to do that, because I got a terrible memory. I'm only 34. The gray hair says otherwise, but I'm only 34, but I have a terrible memory. So I have to write everything down. But a lot of my ideas promo-wise, I practice, but what's weird about me is when I cut a promo, I have to do it ad lib and I have to do it one take. So like there'll be times when I cut a promo for something and the first take is the best. I'm like, oh, I can fix this or fix that. It just goes downhill after that. So I'm a one take guy.
Kind of like go with your gut instinct. Don't question it.
Absolutely.
So you talked about the breakthrough division, which you're saying is a new division for you guys. Tell us a little bit about that, and if somebody wanted to start cutting their teeth into the wrestling business and they get some experience and how would they get into that breakthrough division?
All right. So the breakout division is
breakout. I'm sorry.
It's no, you're fine, man. It's like I said, the CWF, I'm not in this just for me. It's not just for my ego. It's because I love the wrestling business as a whole. And I want to provide for as many people as I can to have a platform to chase their dreams. So with that being said, the breakout division it's going to be a division that's going to be geared toward workers that have been wrestling for 5 years or less. We want to provide a platform for guys that are fairly young, that are hungry, that are ready to learn, to have something to fight for. So there will be a breakout championship. I guess you could kind of look at it as the Intercontinental title.
Gotcha.
But the breakout division is going to be for younger guys, 5 years and below, that are ready to learn, ready to work, and ready to make a name for themselves and prove to themselves and the business that they're ready to go to that next step. So we don't train new talent. So as far as cutting their teeth, they really have to find a reputable school. And I stress reputable because there are a lot of companies, excuse me, my dog's over there. There's a lot of companies out there that will take your money and take advantage of you. So find a reputable training school and pay your dues and you got to cut your teeth to get in, like you said.
All right. So Resurrection, it's Resurrection 2. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Resurrection 2.
It's happening July 18th at the Santa Rosa County Auditorium.
Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit of the backstory of Resurrection 2, what people can expect, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of it right after you're done with that.
So Resurrection 2, of course, is a follow-up to Resurrection 1. This time last year, the CWF, we restarted. So as we talked about earlier, I was kind of involved with another promotion. A little faction of myself and other workers left that promotion, and we decided to start our own thing. When you have 5 or 6 people in charge, you tend to get into a cluster. So we ran a couple of shows. I was the one financing those shows, unfortunately, on my own, and we lost a lot of money, or I lost a lot of money. So shut it down, restructured. I'm the head guy running on my own. And that's when Resurrection was. So Resurrection was actually the first event of the CWF in its current iteration. And that was here in Navarre at the Navarre Conference Center this time last year. And that's also where James became the first CWF champion.
I got you. So now I understand the whole point behind Resurrection. So that's I like the backstory of that. So if people are wanting to get tickets to the event, how can they get tickets? And I know that they're limited because of COVID, but how can they get their hands on some tickets?
So they can get their hands on some tickets by checking our Eventbrite page. If you just go to Google and Google Eventbrite Coastal Wrestling Federation, it'll take you to our page. Or hit up our Facebook, again, facebook.com/officialCWF. We have it pinned at the top, our event page. Click on that, and it'll say get tickets, and they'll be right there for you. So our tickets are limited. We're limited to 100 people. So get them now because they're moving. So we don't want you to miss this event at all.
Awesome. So you were kind of going over it a little bit. Tell people how they can find CWF on social media, your website, YouTube channels, all that kind of stuff.
All right. So we do have a website. It's coastalwrestlingfederation.com. We try to keep that up to date as much as possible. Of course, there's not much that's happened since the virus, but once we do get going again, you'll find all your news and everything there. You're also going to be able to see us on Twitter at I believe it's official CWF there as well. And then Instagram at Coastal Wrestling Federation. And then, of course, I have my pages. You have Real Briggs 250 on Twitter. You have Real Briggs 250 on Instagram. And then Marshall Briggs on Facebook. And I'll tell you what, man, we talked earlier about the controlled chaos.
Yes.
6 social media accounts. It's ridiculous. And
So
YouTube.
I kind of get it where you're going from. So I have the Benchwarmer podcast. So I have a YouTube for that, a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram, and then I have another one called The Sound, which is a podcast that I do with a partner. So I got all the social media for that. Then we have a social media for the entire entertainment thing that we umbrella under. So I get the controlled chaos. I promise you. When I come in to do stuff like this, I'm all right. Am I broadcasting to the right Facebook page? Am I making sure that everything is exactly the way it's going to go? So for instance, like ours, we started at 7:40. I was home at 5:00 and I was setting everything up to make sure that I had everything going the way, all the channels that it needed to go. So I totally get it. And I don't know how, I at least have a partner that helps me. I don't know how you would do it on your own. So
I mean, it's crazy, you know, and also with this time off again, so I could still provide a platform for guys. We actually had a web show called Mic'd Up. So every Friday, Saturday, I would do a show, an interview similar to this with different wrestlers, and that was a hit as well. If I could, real quick, I just wanted to talk, you know, some of the guys that are huge at CWF, I want to put out there and say thanks, because they have been instrumental in our success. I've got to give a shout out to Sims and Sager of Six City, Mike Fresca. Christian Garrett has been phenomenal. He's one of our new guys, and he's got a bright future. Great guy. So if there's anyone out there looking to book a young, hungry talent, Christian Garrett is the guy you want to look at. Skylark, I've got to thank Tim Tate of Main Event Lighting. He's our lighting and sound guy. He does an absolutely phenomenal job. You could find him on Twitter and on Facebook as well, I believe. Ringmart Photography takes all of our pictures. They do amazing work. Check them out on Facebook as well. And I know I'm forgetting people, but it's crazy the amount of people that have come together and help us to grow and see the success that we've had, because the past 12 months, man, have been absolutely phenomenal. So I just got to take a quick second and say thanks to all those guys. And you know, we do have some people that aren't local. We've got Blanco Loco and Ellie of International Superstars. They have been tremendous for us at the CWF.
Awesome.
Soko, who is coming to us, I believe he comes from us in Mississippi. James comes from Mississippi. So we do have our core local guys, but then we also have our core guys that come from out of state as well, and downstate also. So I want to say thanks to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's fun to see not only the local, but to actually see the people making the effort. That tells people that you're putting on a good product, and you have a good business sense to yourself when people are willing to travel to be a part of it. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So I do want to get a little personal with you. So when you were growing up, what attracted you to wrestling? Who was your favorite wrestler, and those lines?
So I'm an Attitude Era baby. So
I hear you.
I remember the first episode of Raw that I saw was when Stone Cold came out in a suit after he just won the title from Shawn Michaels, and he bag tagged Vince, and I was hooked from that moment. I was like, oh, that's so cool. He just hit his boss. Ironically enough, not my favorite wrestler. I would have to say my favorite wrestler was The Rock. It was something about those sideburns and just the whole gimmick, man.
He did do a good job with that. I will tell you that.
He did. And I remember in high school, man, I'd go to school, I'd buy these ugly Hawaiian shirts and just trying to be like The Rock, and it was cool. And if you look at him, even now as a person, the amount of success that he's reached from wrestling up to the highest paid actor in Hollywood is amazing. It's inspirational.
No, it absolutely is, just to see. And a lot of it comes with that Rock personality, that charisma, that confidence, and all of that carried on into Hollywood. And I think wrestling helped him get into that, where he's at with Hollywood now. You mentioned Shawn Michaels, and that's probably where I live at. I was always a wrestling fan, and I was when I was in Biloxi, we had a minor league hockey team called the Mississippi Seawolves, and I was the on ice intermission host. And they brought Shawn Michaels in one time to do autograph signings and everything. And they looked at me and they're like, Kevin, we need somebody to go pick up Shawn Michaels at the hotel. You want to go pick him up? I'm like, hooked. That was it.
They'd have to twist your
I get
arm,
goosebumps every time I hear his theme song play, everything. So that Shawn Michaels was it for me that caught me just totally latched. But I grew up on NWA. So Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen and all them.
Yeah, Flair was a good one as well. I was a huge fan of Ric Flair, but I mean, honestly, man, and I remember the hate that ran through my heart for WCW when I was a kid, because I saw this Bill Goldberg guy that was trying to rip off Stone Cold. And then I saw this Sting guy that was trying to rip off The Undertaker. And so, you know, I was so biased. And that's another one of my favorites. He's probably right up there with The Rock as The Undertaker. I mean, if you look at his longevity and especially now, have you checked out his documentary on the network?
I have not missed an episode. When they release a new episode, I'm on it that day. So
you talk about inspirational as someone in the business and seeing, you know, I followed his whole career, still didn't know all that crap he's gone through. And it's amazing his dedication to the business. Yeah.
It's and to see that the relationship that him and Vince McMahon have actually gotten, that father-son relationship, is just when you see when they asked the question to Vince McMahon, what are your thoughts on The Undertaker? He was speechless. And that says a lot to loyalty and to the brand that Vince has grown. Now, granted, you get those that aren't happy with it and they move on and they do their own thing. But then you see a lot of loyalty. I mean, it took a while, but Shawn Michaels came back to help with NXT. You get a lot of those wrestlers coming back to help with that, with the younger core group. But that's what I love about indie promotions, is you get to see some of the most talented. And it's just, you can go back to my my music one that I do is all about indie music and unsigned bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And for every Undertaker, there is an unknown that has just as much talent and just as much love for the business that a lot of people don't get a chance to see. But then you have a promotion like yours that puts them out front and center and get that opportunity to start making that name for themselves. And I think that's the best thing about any indie wrestling promotion that does it right. Now, you have those promotions that don't do anything right, don't take care of the wrestlers, and they're just in it for the money. But then you have ones, and talking to you, I can tell that you're one of them, that you care about every aspect of the situation, every aspect of the show, every wrestler, anybody down to even thanking your lighting guy and stuff like that. So you appreciate what they're doing for you as well as what you are doing. Awesome.
Yeah. And I just want to say also, you know, talking about other promotions, and I might get heat from this, I don't care. That's another driver with the CWF is if you go to other promotions, some other promotions around in our area, you're going to see a lot of wrestlers that you've seen for the past 15, 20 years, 25 years working the same matches that you've seen over and over. So if you come to a CWF show, you're going to see people that you don't typically see in this area, because I go out and make a concerted effort to book guys that are new and fresh and entertaining. That way you get new matchups. You get new storylines, stuff that you haven't seen before. You know, no one wants to watch the same show for 20 years.
Well, so, I forgot what promotion it was, but I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that the Rock and Roll Express had won the tag team championship just recently in whatever promotion it was. I'm like, Jesus, no, we haven't seen that at all, ever.
Yeah. So. And it's, you know, like with Slingshot Shaddix, you know, I believe we're the first promotion to put the main championship belt on him. So, and I'm not going to get into the details, but, you know, I had a conversation with him and I was like, hey, keep doing what you're doing and stay strong and you'll be rewarded for that. So, you know, everyone in their life has issues. We all have problems that we have to work through. And Slingshot has done a hell of a job working through the issues that he's dealt with in his personal life. And so I have no problem whatsoever rewarding him for that and giving him that championship that he's busted his ass for, excuse my language, to get And he deserves it, and I think he's doing well. So that's another thing. Shout out to Slingshot for doing a great job, and keep up the good work, and stay on a good path.
So as a wrestler, as a promoter, what's your favorite type of match to be a part of?
Favorite type of match? I'm a brawler, so I prefer to brawl.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not about the whole technical holds, and certainly you're never going to see Marshall Briggs come off the top rope at all. But punches, kicks, suplexes, that's pretty much what you're going to see me doing. I realize now with my military service, my body is not as much in good shape as a typical 34-year-old body would be. So right. I'm fully aware that I have more matches behind me than I have before me. So that's something else I wanted to throw out real quick is, we talk about match types, and something I stress with our wrestlers at our events, you don't have to take crazy bumps. It's not always about taking a bump, because I'm sure you've heard this on other podcasts. You only have so many punches on that card, on that bump card. So if I were to critique anything with today's wrestling, it would be there's too many suicide dives, too many bumps on the floor. Take care of your body. I don't want to see anybody get hurt at our events. I want to see people get themselves over, put in the ring work, and do it in a smart way that tells a good story for the fans to invest in. Because I'll tell you, man, if I'm seeing super kicks every 10 seconds, and if I'm seeing someone fly over the top rope every single match as a transitional spot, I'm not going to be invested in that because I've seen it.
I got you.
That's my philosophy on it, I guess. I mean, you're agreeing with me. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, for longevity, I think everything that you say is absolutely correct. You've got to be able to, and no matter what sport it is, you've got to be able to have some longevity. And the things that I've seen wrestlers do, and I will say this till I'm no longer allowed to talk. Wrestlers are some of the most physically fit athletes to be able to do the stuff that they do, and to a lot of them to be the size that they are to do the stuff that they do are some of the most phenomenal athletes that I've ever seen in any sport. So I would say longevity. Yeah, you probably shouldn't take as many bumps as you do. And I know that the crowd reaches for it and screams for it, but you got to look out for yourself first. And I agree with you as far as the longevity side of it. You got to be able to please the crowd, but keep yourself safe too at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at the Attitude Era matches, which, like I said, Attitude Era, baby, the matches were very simple. They weren't insane. You had a lot of running off the ropes. You had clotheslines, suplexes, kicks. You didn't have to have somebody fly the time. As a matter of fact, and I know you've probably seen this being a Shawn Michaels guy, look at WrestleMania 25 and 26 between Taker and Shawn. That was an old school wrestling match.
Yes.
And it stole the show 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it's some of those are two of the matches that actually stick out with me as far as pure entertainment, but didn't have to go as far as what everybody thinks they had to do.
Right. And like I said, I want our wrestlers, I want you to work for me for a long time, because I plan on CWF being around for a while. I want you to be that guy that, I can look back 5 years from now and be like, hey, you were there and we started and you're still going. So that's the thing. I want our guys to take care of each other and be safe about it. So.
All right. Well, Marshall, I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us and telling us all about Resurrection 2 and the CWF. Hopefully between the Facebook feed, the YouTube feed, the podcast feed, all of that, we can gain some new fans for CWF, sell you a few tickets. I know you've sold me, so I'll be there on July 18th, checking everything out. So I'm happy to be a part of it and go there and check it out on July 18th in the Santa Rosa County Auditorium, Resurrection 2.
Yes, sir.
Marshall, thank you so much, and I will see you on July 18th.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much for having me.